This is part 3 of the first episode of 11 Hours Apart, a ChiLLynn Podcast. If you haven't listened to parts 1 and 2, maybe you would like to do that first. For those who have, thank you for making it this far, and we hope you enjoy part 3.
Okay,
Your turn.
shall we keep moving along?
Yes.
Okay, I'm on my number 5. Again, I think this is actually pretty accurate to where I would place things. Number 5 favorite is the movie It's a Wonderful Life. It's a
All right.
Christmas movie. It's kind of a Christmas movie, but it's a lot deeper than that. And all I'm going to say about it is it's one of those movies that every time you watch it, it almost takes on a new meaning, to me at least. As you get older, you relate to it in a different way than you did when you were a kid and you watched it. And it makes me cry almost every time. But I don't know, it's got such a happy ending, and I think it teaches you a lot about the value of life, and then also about how being selfless is being selfless will pay off in the end, and that if you are selfless, even if it causes you to struggle for a while, that those selfless acts like add up over the course of your life, and in the end you will be better for it, essentially. So yeah, but great movie. It's one of those movies that I had to put on here because I've watched it many times, and so it's like any movie that you can just keep watching over and over again. It's kind of a long movie, but also I will point out also a very good love story. If you're looking for a good love story movie, I feel like it's a good one for that. And final note of why I specifically really maybe relate to it or really like it is the movie is supposedly based on a town in upstate New York that is very close to my mom's hometown, and the hometown of my mom's side of the family. So it's not the same town where my mom grew up, but it is. I spent portions of my childhood up in a town in upstate New York where my mom's family is, and it is similar. It like you can recognize like the similarities between the towns and like just that kind of that area of upstate New York, and in the winter time there, and how they get so much snow, and I don't know, it's just like feels special to me because of that too, because I spent a decent portion of my childhood and a number of Christmases in my childhood up in upstate New York, and I remember those very fondly and strongly, and that movie kind of takes me back there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a great movie. You gave me that movie as a present.
Did I
You did.
did.
You did, yeah. So I've watched that
Yes.
movie already. Yeah. Well, the nice thing
Wow,
about
it's a good movie.
the one you gave me is that you can choose to watch it in like black and white, the original black and white version, or like the color version
So good.
they did. Yeah, it was a good just very sweet a sweet story. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's a
Great.
very, it might be a very American story too. I don't know if it is as popular like around the world.
Yeah,
But
I have no idea.
yeah.
At least I haven't heard. I had not heard about it before you mentioned that to me. I didn't know this movie existed. Yeah,
Yeah. It's really good. I don't know. It's a good one.
yeah,
So
it's a good one.
put that one up
Cool.
there. But yeah. Okay.
All right,
Your
my
turn,
turn
Chi.
again. All right, I'll bring up the other of my favorite romantic movie of all time, which
Okay.
is the this one it wouldn't be as surprising probably. Is the Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh man,
yeah.
that one. Okay, I remember watching this movie in the theater and not knowing what the movie was about. Actually, I thought it was
Okay, okay.
Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet were in it, so I was expecting some sort of comedy, like light romantic comedy of some sort, and I was floored by how smart the script was, and also how amazing Jim Carrey was as an actor. Because up to
Mm-hmm.
that point, I only knew him as like this really exaggerated, like over the top comedian, right? I have
Right.
no idea he's got such like dramatic chops in him. I have
Yeah.
no idea. And and because I knew nothing about this movie going in, and I was just amazed um, by everything of this movie. And I think the story was like one of the best I've ever seen. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it really blends. Have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have. Okay.
Only one time though. I thought it was good, but my initial viewing experience was very different. I did not see it in theaters,
Hmm.
and I had heard from multiple sources about like how amazing it was. So I think I went into it with different I had some expectations, and it was really good and very entertaining, but it didn't like totally blow my socks off because I did have some high expectations going in, I think.
Yeah.
But very good movie. I'm not trying to take away from it. And Jim Carrey is, I know what you mean by what you're saying. Like, you don't really expect it from him. But in retrospect, after seeing that movie, like, sometimes he honestly, like, he kind of scares me in the sense that I know he's very different, but he almost seems like one of these almost like Robin Williams types where it's like he's so genius and talented and crazy, emotionally deep, but to the point where it's almost scary a little bit because it's like,
Yeah.
that you just feel like there's something under the surface that he doesn't, that all of his acts and comedy is kind of trying to cover up. But I don't know if that's true, but I just he's a fascinating comedian for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what I liked the most about the story was you know w- what makes you fall in love with somebody.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
something that you just can't explain. That's not it's not explainable. And if you can do everything over again, it would probably still happen. But then
Right.
afterwards, like the real life kicks in, right? So you might find that, yeah, I'm attracted to this person, but then you know um, sharing a life with that person is different. It's a different story.
Hmm.
So, but how do you explore this concept effectively? And the only way is that is if you can erase your memories of a person, and then you meet the person again, and what
Hmm.
happens? So it's like, in a way, it's like, well, yeah, what is meant to be will be, right?
Hmm.
If you gonna fall in love with this person, if you can do it over again, you still probably will,
Hmm.
right? But then things would happen that's not all like rosy color and all fun and game and all that. And
Hmm.
sometimes you decide that it's better off just to not staying together anymore. But that doesn't diminish the fact that what brought you together in the first place. And I think the story just explored that beautifully. I can't. Yeah, it's just such a good story. I don't know. And yeah, I just love that movie very much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is. It's a really good movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And just the fact that and also the other thing is that as they like travel down, they start remember what happened most recently of their shared memories, and going
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the beginning. So like,
Mm-hmm.
when the process started, he was like really determined to like to forget about Clementine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
then you think about the better, like when life was better, when love was better, and it was just very like sort of bittersweet um way to explore what love is and what relationships are. And
Yeah.
also because when in real life, because you can't really go back, like start with a clean slate, but we tend to be, maybe it's easier to be like to remember what when things are rough because it's more recent, and just forget about what you were at the beginning when it was pure and was maybe exciting and was, yeah, it just, we don't really get this to go back and really experience the feeling over again, because now it's we have all those different memories, some are good, some are bad, so the slate is not clean anymore. But in a movie, he can really just go all the way back, and when he decided to not do that because he remember what it was when it started, and I thought it was really just really beautiful and really touching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're making me think I need to watch that movie again, because since the first time I think when I first watched I was almost like too young, or hadn't experienced that much in like relationships. And now that I've experienced a bit more of that, I think I'd like to rewatch it again. I think it would hit me on a whole different level. It's like one of those things that after you've experienced like love and rejection and um like uh losing love or
Yeah.
unrequited love or whatever it is, like once you've experienced that more deeply or more fully, you can appreciate a movie like it's one of those things that you'll see a movie like this in a whole different light than if you watch it before you'd experience
Yeah.
any of that.
Yeah,
And
I think that's
yeah,
absolutely
so
right. Yeah.
cool.
Anyway,
I will.
that's my, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I need to try to rewatch that, but
Yeah, it's good.
okay.
All right, your turn.
Okay, I'm on my number 4 top movie, and and this one might be interchangeable with my number 3, but I put the movie Good Will Hunting as my number 4.
Oh, okay.
Great movie.
Great movie. Great.
Great movie.
Yeah, great movie.
I don't know if I'm going to say too much about it cuz it's really well known movie, but I think one of the most poignant scenes in that movie is the fight between Will and his girlfriend, when I don't know, that love story between them and how he really like pushes her away, but then at the very end, spoiler alert, goes and he goes to try to find her again and to make things right. I don't know, that was really touching, but the whole movie is just super entertaining, like, and obviously Robin Williams is a genius in it, and I also have always been a big Matt Damon fan, so
Mhm.
I like Matt Damon in that movie a lot. But
Okay.
yeah, just all around great performances. And I can't, it's a movie that I really do like and that I have seen multiple times and that I own, and that I can keep. It's one of those movies I can keep watching over and over again, but I'm not sure if I can really explain what about it like makes it so good to me. Like it takes place in Boston. It's about this like genius. So I like can't relate to it on like that many levels, and yet it's still like really good. I don't know why, but I think it has a lot to do with the relationship between Robin Williams and Matt Damon in the movie, and then also Matt Damon and uh the girlfriend. I forgot the name of that actress, but she does
Any driver.
such a good job. Yes, she does such a good job in that movie, and especially the one scene where he's been like lying about his family, like he's made up this whole family, and she figures out that it's all a lie, and but she still like loves him. I don't know. It's just really really good movie. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
really know why.
it
So
is. It
that's
is.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. No, I think it's one of the movies where the story just so good, and there's
Mhm.
really not, maybe there isn't that much like deeper meaning or metaphoric meaning behind it. It's just like a really good story, well told, well acted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's a great movie.
And I mean Ben Affleck was great in it too. And I
Yeah,
think
he was.
the message of Matt Damon's Will feels this camaraderie towards his friends and towards his hometown. Um, but they all know that he needs to go and fulfill his potential, even if that means leaving behind some of the people that he loves, um, which is really hard thing. But I think even though the character Will in the movie doesn't really have a family, his family is his friends. So even those of us that do have a family and that also have friends, I think we can relate to that in the sense that there comes a point in time where you have to leave home and you have to leave your family, and in order to fulfill your potential as a human being and as um yeah, just as a human being, I guess. And that can be a really hard thing to swallow sometimes, and I think people do get stuck um in where they're at, and they don't realize that either literally or metaphorically they need to leave whatever place they've like been tied to or felt this like very strong allegiance to.
Yeah,
And you sometimes have to cut those ties in order to move on and fulfill your destiny, essentially.
yeah,
So I think that's where I also relate to it.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. Great movie.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, my turn.
your turn.
I'm gonna say this movie is like one of my favorite movies of all time. Sideways.
Oh my gosh, gee, I haven't seen. Wait, have I seen that? What? Tell me
I
what
don't
it
think
is
so.
again.
I think this movie. I think a lot of people like this movie, but I don't think a lot of people would put this movie as like one of their favorites. It's a
I
drama. It's like the best dramedy ever made, in my opinion.
Dramedy, like a
Dramedy.
drama comedy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So it's not like an outright comedy, but it's pretty funny, in a lot of places. But it's
Hmm.
basically a drama. At heart, at the core, it's a drama, and it has Paul Giamatti's best performances ever, and I would say like one of the best performances ever given.
Wow.
Um, yeah, but again, I think this depends on if you click with the character. I think if you don't, then you probably wouldn't feel too much about this whole movie and this whole thing. Because what's great about this movie is that uh, it's about a person that has a lot of flaws and whose life is not going very well for him at all. So he's a loser basically. And when we talk about, we've seen plenty of like losers or in movies, but I think most times when we saw these characters, they're almost always like anti-heroes. So things might not be going well for them, but there's some like redeeming quality to them, or they at the very end they got their victory of some sorts. But in this
Mhm.
movie, none of that really happened. Um, but for some reason, I really relate to the character, or the main character, and I don't know why.
Huh.
I think it's probably like his fragility and his all his flaws. I can see some of them um, in myself. Like I'm not. Maybe we are all a little bit cowardly in some ways, and a little bit you know um, we're humans, right? So we have like all those different flaws. We might be mean at times. We all these things, and this guy is just like a perfect combination of all these things that make him, is weirdly human and flawed, but also very relatable and likable. I like him a lot. I really just I feel so much sympathy for him, and even though like I'm not like him really, I don't really
Mhm.
see myself in him. He's not playing me, but I don't know why. I mean, there are a few
Mhm.
scenes in the movie. It's like heartbreaking, but it's also like you just feel so. I feel just feel so much for him when those things happen, and it also
Yeah.
has like a good ending. Like it has a ambiguous, but good. Like it's like Good Will Hunting, right? Like he's
Mhm.
driving to find Minnie Driver's character
I
at the end
gotta
of
go
this
see about
movie.
a girl.
Yeah, so in this movie, well, he found a woman who really appreciates him, but they had a fallout like in the middle. But at the very end, um, he got a voice message from her, so there's a chance of like reconciliation, and then he went to knock on her door, and the movie ended there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you don't even
And
know
you
if he
said
like is
something
or if she's like
similar.
home. But I mean, yeah, I love this movie. I don't know why, but this is a movie that weirdly, whenever I'm feeling down or something, I would just pop this movie in, and it's
Yeah.
healing. Like it just heals me in some way. I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those movies I can't really explain, and I haven't I haven't met anyone. I mean, I met people who like the movie or like the movie a lot, but
Mhm.
yeah, I haven't met anyone that put this one as like on among their favorite movies of all time. So I
Yeah.
think there might be some connections that I have that's unique. I can't explain it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, I think you almost said something similar about the one of the before trilogy movies. It ends with him like something equivalent to like knocking on the door or going to see about the girl or whatever. And
Yeah.
it's like those are good endings because there's just so much potential there.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it like that it like makes you hopeful, you just
Yeah.
hope, you get to invent the end in
Yeah.
your
Exactly.
mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you
So
can
it's really
almost picture what the ending would be, but they just didn't
mhm.
show you.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I just I mean I'm a sucker for those
Genius.
kind of like ambiguous ish endings because it's just so beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
endings. Oh man, we're gonna continue having to talk about that because to
Yeah.
me, an ending makes or breaks the whole movie, the
Yes.
whole story. I mean, book. I mean, almost. There are some books that I don't love the end, but I still love the rest of the book. So then it's almost like I just like kind of erase the end from my mind
Yeah.
and make up
Yeah.
my own end. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I don't know, endings are very important and I think they're hard to execute a lot of times. It's really hard when you've built a whole like arc, a whole climax to also end it
Yeah.
well is so challenging, I imagine. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think it's the ending and the beginnings are the most difficult part.
Yeah.
I would think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sideways. Yeah.
Sideways.
Mm.
Good one. All right. Um all right, back to me.
Back to you.
Okay.
Top two already, I think, right?
I'm on my third.
Third. Oh, right, right, right. Okay.
Number 3. So this one was one that I was like, I'm not sure. It might be interchangeable with Goodwill Hunting for
Mm.
slot number 3.
Okay.
But I put it as 3 because I think it was mind blowing to me when I first saw it in a way that Goodwill Hunting wasn't, but Goodwill Hunting was still profound, but this movie was like unlike any movie I've ever seen. And I know I've talked to you about it before, Chi, but I put La Grande Bellezza, or The Great Beauty in English.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
An
Great.
Italian movie. Um, but watching it with English subtitles, if you're an English speaker, is very satisfying experience. You do not need to speak Italian to appreciate it, I don't feel. Um, but yeah, I think it has one of the most, to talk about endings. The final monologue is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen or heard, I guess, heard and seen. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a weird movie. It was unlike any movie I had ever seen, because I haven't, I've watched some like more kind of artsy films, but even out of the more like European or artsy foreign films that I had seen, I had never seen one like this, that was done on this scale. And I mean, it wasn't like some massive scale, but like it was done on a slightly larger scale than most of the other like European kind of indie artsy movies that I had seen before this. And I didn't say it earlier in my introduction, but my mom's side of the family is of Italian heritage. So I do think part of the reason why I was interested in it in the first place, and also maybe captivated by it when I was watching it, is I do have an interest in Italy and Italian culture and Italian art and all of these things, because of my family heritage. So that probably is part of it for me. But even outside of that, I believe it definitely won some awards, but it might have even won the, ooh, I don't want to misquote this. It might have, it
Yeah.
was at least nominated for best foreign film with the
Oh, the
Oscars.
Oscars?
Yeah, I don't know if it won, but um anyways, it's a
Uh,
really really crazy, well done, beautiful film, and I'm trying to look it up right now.
oh, I was gonna look out for you. So you can just keep talking.
Okay, thank you, G.
No problem.
I got like a million pages up here. Uh, so yeah, the music was a huge part of it for me too. The way that they merged the music with the visuals.
Ah, okay. So sorry to interrupt. Yes, the movie did win the best foreign films for the Academy Awards,
That's what I
as well
thought.
the Golden Globe and a BAFTA.
Great, good,
Yeah. So yes,
deserves it.
yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paolo Sorrentino, is that the
Paolo
director,
Sor-
I think?
I think so. I think so. Yeah. Paolo Sorrentino. That's right. That's him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, great movie.
Great
It
movie.
also has a slight like love story underlying it, but it's very subtle,
It's very
kind
to
of.
the, yeah, it's very to the side.
Yeah,
It's like a, yeah.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I watched like one, I'll just say this and then I'll hand it over for your
Sure.
next one, Chi. But I watched one interview with Paolo Sorrentino, the director, and he was saying like when he was making the movie, the whole movie, the main character of the movie is this like aging man who is like basically at the end of his career. He was a writer who was had like some bestsellers, or maybe just one bestseller, and became rich off of it like a while ago, but hasn't really written much since or anything successful since. So he's just like riding this kind of wave of his prior glory, and just kind of almost contemplating the meaning of life and what it's all for. And he has all this wealth, and he parties with the elites in Rome, and and it's also like set across this like backdrop of like Rome is this city that once was like the capital of the Western world and now is almost like slowly decomposing and becoming more obsolete as each year goes by. So there's all these people left behind, these elites that at one time, like if Rome was still at its full glory, these people would have been the rulers of the Western world. But today they're kind of just meaninglessly partying their lives away. And he's like swept up in this, right? So he's like just contemplating all of it and trying to figure out, I guess, what it all means on some level. But the director was like, said in an interview, he was like, yeah, I we made this movie about this like aging man, and I have all these young people, all these like 20 somethings that come up to me and say how much they love this movie. And he was like, I was not expecting that. I was expecting this movie to resonate with like an older crowd, but it was resonating with millennials. And he was surprised by that. And I was like, when I watched that interview, I was like, that's me. Like, I'm a millennial that it resonates with. And I don't know. I think that there is something about like the internet age and um, maybe social media today that causes even young people to feel kind of jaded at a very young age. And this movie kind of speaks to that a little bit. And I think it's really long. It's a really long movie, so it's not like a easy endeavor, but and there are actually a couple scenes in it that I don't like at all, that I almost like want to skip every time I watch it because I'm like, I don't even want to see this.
Mm.
But then there's other scenes that are just so weirdly, I don't know, to me they feel very profound, and it doesn't really, you're almost like watching it like, I don't understand this, but I do, you know? It's like you're seeing see this like imagery, the way that the director uses this crazy imagery. It is like art like playing out in front of in, as a movie. It's there is a plot, like a slight plot and a narrative that's going on throughout the movie, but there's also just this crazy imagery that's going on throughout the movie that's almost like you're in an art museum and seeing like art piece after art piece after art piece, and they're each like intriguing in their own way. Each scene is like intriguing in its own way, but also like bizarre in its own way. And I don't know why, it just like really spoke to me. And the music also, I highly recommend paying specific attention to the music throughout. I loved the music. It was an interesting mix of songs, and yeah. So even as an American, it was a very Italian movie, but even as an American, I really appreciated it.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that movie too. Very interesting movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have a lot of thoughts about the movie, but we'll save it
Yeah.
for some other time.
Yeah. It might
Yeah.
be worth a week, or we could do one of Paolo Sorrentino's other movies that he's come out with.
Oh,
But
okay. Have you seen his other movies? Any of his other movies?
I saw Youth. Um
Oh, Michael Caine.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that movie actually. Maybe a little
Really.
more than the Great Beauty.
Really? See,
Yes.
I liked it, but I was like, I like it, but it's not as good as The Great Beauty. So I was like kind of disappointed. But if I had seen Youth first before The Great Beauty, I might have been like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Because part of what amazed me about The Great Beauty is I was like, I have never seen anything like this before. I've never seen a movie like this. This is truly unique.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
Youth is kind of done in the same style, and
Yeah.
so then
I
it
think they're
wasn't so
both.
unique anymore.
Yeah, I think they're both about. Okay, I think they're both about like former glory.
Yep,
right?
they are.
And yeah, but I think it's not it's not that the Great Beauty is a worse movie than Youth, but I just think that the Youth discusses like explore this this aging, right? This former
Mm-hmm.
glory that is not anymore. That's not relevant anymore. Youth has a more intimate take on that topic than the Great Beauty. The Beauty is amazing because I think it's just first of all the title. I mean, it's just beautiful irony, right? Like, and the city, something that's
Yeah.
formerly glorious,
Yeah.
but it still has value. Versus
Yes.
like the author, right? Like he just like basically just lives out on his legacy, like his one hit, and
Mm-hmm.
he just lives like unabashedly on that. Like he is not apologetic about it at all. Like he was just like, well, here's what it is, and I think there's some. It's empty. Like it's just like this false grandeur of some sort.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and against this really ancient and rich and glorious city of Rome, that I think it's masterful. But
Yeah.
but when it comes to discussing this issue of how do you deal with your fading legacy, you're getting all your aging, I think youth is more intimate. It just gets it just looks at that more directly without all this like it's not as artful. I think artistically Gravity is a more artistic film, but I relate to youth a little more.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
do think Youth was made to capture a wider audience because they put Michael Caine in it.
yeah,
I
obviously.
know that he was trying to get English speaking
Mhm.
people
Yeah,
to watch. And yeah, so, but, and that's where I think maybe my Italian heritage does come into play for me. Because to
Mhm.
me, the Great Beauty being more Italian makes it better in my mind because I have that connection. But if I didn't have that Italian connection in my family history, um, I probably would have liked Youth. I think I probably would have liked Youth better because it is more. It would have been more relatable to me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I don't know. But I also think in La Grande Bellezza, the main character, Jep, which is a great name, by the
Oh, yeah,
way.
exactly. Yeah.
It you know it reminds me of Geppetto, the
Oh,
the
that.
the father of Pinocchio. Um,
Oh, okay.
isn't that, yeah, Jep,
Oh, I didn't
Geppetto.
realize that. Yeah.
But the actor of Jep, Tony Servillo, I think is his name.
Uh-huh.
Um, he he's amazing. I
Oh, he is
mean,
amazing. Yeah, he is amazing.
just amazing. And I mean, Michael Caine is amazing too. But
Mhm.
there's something about, I think, Tony Servillo's face and facial expressions that is just
Yeah,
so Italian and so perfect for that
yeah.
role. And I just really appreciated that. And then it wasn't just him though. There some of the women in La Grande Bellezza were just stunning in
Hmm.
their expressions. And um the old lady that plays the nun is just like
Oh,
it's like burned into my mind, like her image. But yeah, I don't know. Also, I mean, there's many characters that, like, just the image of the character is like so kind of like a piece of art on its own in a weird way. I don't know. I just
mhm.
this I don't want to sound like I am trying to talk about this movie like I'm knowledgeable about like art in general that much, but I just do view this movie as more of almost like a piece of art or a series of pieces of art that then it's not the same as viewing like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or whatever. You know, it's a different thing. And when it hit me when I guess I saw it with the right mindset where it just hit me. And I was like, wow, I've never seen anything like this. And it kind of like blew my mind. And then the ending monologue, maybe we'll have to have an episode about this movie because
Yeah.
we've talked about it before, I think, when we were in Durham,
Yeah.
Chi, but
Yeah.
it just like it can spark some serious conversation, like
Yeah.
the ending like
Yeah.
there's different ways you can interpret it, and it was just very profound to me when I watched that final sequence of the movie. So
Yeah. No, I would love to watch the movie again.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I've already watched it multiple times, but
Okay.
I would watch it again too.
I've only seen it once, actually, just once.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen
I would
it
love to see it.
probably 3
Okay.
or 4 times, but
Right.
it's been a while since I've seen it. So once you've watched it, like you don't really feel like you want to watch it again super soon because it is so long.
Yeah.
But now it's been a while for me, so I would definitely watch it again.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Let's do that sometime.
Cool. All right, your turn.
Okay, I got 2 left on my list, and they're both made by Asian filmmakers.
Oh,
I'll say the
cool.
first one because this one I think you'll know. It's The Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Oh yeah, I know
Okay.
it. Haven't seen it though.
Okay, so when it comes to like a martial arts movie, this one is one of a kind because it brought Ang Lee into the U.S. sphere, like into people's minds, and made his name known to people. And also, he's not a martial arts director at all. Like he's strong suit before this one was more about like families and like smaller stuff that he did really, really well. And I think this movie is just, he did a wonderful job just capturing the essence of this martial arts genre, and also some just a very good storyline. And I think it just brought the genre of martial arts movies into people's homes, and made it more well known amongst like the Western audience. So that's why I put this one up. Yeah, we were very proud. He's from Taiwan, so we were like, yeah,
Ang Lee is.
Yeah, he's Taiwanese. He's just like me. He grew up in Taiwan and didn't move to the US until he was very, very, sort of later in life.
Wow.
Yeah, so he won this. He won the best foreign film with this movie.
Yeah.
And then later on he won the best director with Life of Pi.
Yeah. And which I saw in theaters. It was amazing.
That was a great movie too.
Yeah.
But I would because I know as a Taiwanese person, like this movie is especially meaningful.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why
I gotta watch that. We are definitely doing a I have heard that movie so many times, like mentioned, and yeah, I'm embarrassed. Just for our listening audience, I have seen an embarrassingly low number of Asian movies.
No, that's fine. Just want to interject a little bit. When I was making this list, I realized something, which is none of the movies that are on the list was a Taiwanese film.
So even Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, you don't consider that?
It's not a Taiwanese production, I don't think.
Oh, and it was produced by where? Like China?
Yeah, probably China, Hong Kong, or something like that.
Boo! Just kidding. Sorry, exactly. Sorry, China.
I know. We're gonna turn off so many like Chinese listeners out there. But like,
no, we love our Chinese listeners that don't yet exist.
Right. No, but like, Okay, so the point was that, Taiwan used to be the really strong like movie country. We
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of artsy like directors that won a lot of like just won awards from like international festivals and all that. But because they
Mm-hmm.
were artsy films, they were not, it's not like everybody would watch them. And I didn't really get to watch those movies at all because I was too young.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't into those movies. So, it just I realized that it's my movie taste was very, you might say like very sort of Western,
Mm.
very Western. And it's like, that's, I don't know, like I feel a little guilty about like not knowing actually that much about like Taiwanese filmmakers and their movies because I just wasn't there for that. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Well,
uh,
we'll have to explore that a little bit
yeah,
as we continue on with this, because it might be kind of cool to try to dig some like older Taiwanese films up to see if
yeah,
we can get access to them, or if I can get access to them. And
okay.
that would be kind of interesting, especially since you said that in the past they were really strong.
Mhm.
That would be cool to see some
Yeah,
older stuff. I would be open to that
yeah.
for
Let's
sure.
look into it because just one more note. So they're famous for, maybe you have heard of it, it's like the new wave movement in like filmmaking. So like it started
No.
in France. So they're like a bunch of French filmmakers like Truffaut, like Godard or something that that started this movement in movies. So the new wave movies, their topic is always about like existential problems. So you have this character that
Hmm.
sort of went through life and ended up in some like unexpected places because this is how life is. And it's always about this, like, how do you exist? What's the meaning of life? That sort of thing. So it's very introspective. And also it takes a lot of long shots. And that's sort of like one of the features. And when that was taking off in the filmmaking world, the Taiwanese filmmakers caught on that style as well. So that's
Okay.
when those films became really famous because they really like popularized. They really put like a Taiwanese spin to this new wave movement, but with like Taiwanese sort of materials and stories. Yeah. So that's the
Wow.
historical background. But I didn't really watch
Wow.
any of those movies. I just learned about them later on. But at that time, it
Yeah.
already has, there are already so many to watch, so I didn't really catch up. But yeah, it'd be great
Yeah.
to
Huh.
catch up with, on those things.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
would be. That'd be cool.
Mhm. Okay. Awesome. Whose turn is it?
All right.
Your turn.
Mine. Okay, so I'm on my number 2 top 8 favorite movie, but number 2 favorite is Lord of the Rings, which we already brought up in Cheese List.
Mhm. I feel like
But
I jumped the gun on that one. I probably
you
should like
jumped the
say
gun
that
on it?
because like it's like I brought that up and then you're gonna bring it up later. I just realized, yeah, I could have done better planning, but
It's okay.
on my part.
I'm glad no. I don't mind at all. I'm glad we both have it in common.
All right, awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, we've talked about this. We've talked about Lord of the Rings in the past, but I'm sure it will come up a lot more.
okay,
It
yeah.
is definitely my second favorite, if not it's I'll get to my number 1. I'll get to my number 1 and I'll explain why it's my number 1. But Lord of the Rings is up there for me. When I saw those movies, which also was when I was in middle school, um it was life changing. Life freaking changing. had never, I mean, that was another one where I was like, I have never seen anything like this before. This is amazing. Like, it was one of those things where we borrowed the first, all I had seen before. So, okay. I'm going to try to say this succinctly, but let me tell the story real fast.
Okay.
In elementary school, a lot of, especially the boys, had seen Lord of the Rings of some shape or form. There was an animated movie that had been out for, there's an animated Lord of the Rings movie or Fellowship of the Ring. I don't know. I think it's Fellowship. It's at least Fellowship. That had come out like years before. And that had been out. But then the Lord of the Rings movies were coming out or had come out. And some of the boys in elementary school had definitely seen them and read the books or, some mixture of that. Because I remember getting Valentine's, like on Valentine's, you get the little Valentine's cards. And the boys would give Lord of the Rings ones a lot of the time. And I never like quite understood what it was. I was like, I know this is Lord of the Rings, but like, I don't know what Lord of the Rings really is. So one of my best friends in elementary school, like, who was also my neighbor, who was a guy, they had that animated movie, which we started watching one time when I was over at his house. And even that animated movie, I was like captivated by, like in the first sequence of where they're talking about the ring and like the power of the rings and how the rings were distributed and all this. And I was like captivated by it, even from the animated movie. So I knew from that animated movie that this was something I was interested in. But parents wouldn't, mom wouldn't let me see it as an elementary kid. But finally, in middle school, my mom said it would be okay. And I think a lot of it also had to do with, I have a younger sister. So sometimes I wasn't allowed to see things until my sister was old enough to see them, if that makes sense. Because we had to watch them together. So it's like, even if I was old enough, my mom would kind of hold off until my sister was really old enough. So, Lord of the Rings does have like obviously some violence and things like that. So my mom wanted to make sure, blah, blah. So my friends from my neighbors that were guys that had the Lord of the Rings and they had the movie, the live action movies, we borrowed them. We borrowed the first one, Fellowship of the Ring, from them one weekend. And my dad, my sister, and I sat down on like a Friday night, I think, to watch the first one again when I was in middle school. And it was so good. And we all loved it so much. We were like, we need to go get the other two. So we like the next day on Saturday, we like walk to my neighbor's house. We like give them back the Fellowship and we're like, can we have the other two? And they gave us the other two to borrow. And we watched the next two in one day, from what I remember, if I'm remembering correctly. So those are obviously pretty long movies. So it was a lot of movie watching that day, but that's how strongly this movie was for us, that like we sat there for that many hours to watch it because it was that good. And then on Sunday, I remember spending a significant amount of time watching as many of the special features as I could, because when I saw that movie, that was a movie where I was like, I had never seen anything up till that point, maybe other than like, I don't know, probably not even Star Wars, because I was like younger when I saw Star Wars. But when I saw Lord of the Rings, I was like, that would be so cool to like be a part of something like that. Like the fact that those people got to be working on a project like that is so cool. Oh, sorry, my light just went out.
What happened?
Oh no.
How is going out?
But it was just really, it was really I don't know. It just changed the way I thought about movies and about the world. And it did change movies. Like Lord of the Rings changed how movies are done. So did Star Wars, but just the technology that was developed and everything. And they just told that story so well. It's still, to me, probably the best book adaptation or fantasy book adaptation I've ever seen. To take books that are so detailed and so involved and so long and so successfully translate those to movies is amazing. Like, to get the spirit of the book without being able to put every little thing into the movie is pretty amazing. And I think they did a good job with that. And I know people like criticize certain aspects of them, but to me, they were perfect. Like, they really were perfect. And I loved everything about them. Like, I really can't complain about anything. I don't know.
I mean, they're pretty much just flawless, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
And
are.
I mean, I know Return of the King is like super long and has like multiple endings and stuff, but for
Does
me,
it really?
what?
Does it really have like multiple endings?
Yeah, I mean, they there's an ending where they win the final battle. There's an ending, spoiler alert. There's an ending where Frodo destroys, well, Frodo doesn't really destroy the ring, but Gollum / Frodo destroys the ring.
Yeah.
There's an ending where they make it back to the Shire. You think that could be the end, but then that's not the end. It's actually then Frodo and Gandalf and they all go to the ship at the end.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is the real end, but it kind of like has multiple stages of an ending. But to me, for such like an epic tale like that, it's appropriate. And then also, still to this day, I bawl my eyes out for like that whole 40 minutes that it's ending. I'm just like in tears because it's so I don't know. It really hits me. Frodo's sacrifice, Sam's sacrifice, it just all like adds up at the end. Even Bilbo, like you just think about Bilbo there at the end too, and you're like, oh, and then I forgot to say the ending where Aragorn is crowned. That's another ending. So it's like there's like 5 endings.
Yeah.
5 like ending sequences kind of. And some people complain about that. But first of all, it's accurate to the actual story. And secondly, I think to end an epic, like that was the most epic trilogy ever done at that time, and you had to end it in that way. Like there were so many loose ends to tie up, so it was just like such an ending. I mean, maybe it was dragged out a bit too long, but I don't know. I really don't complain about it because it like has an emotional weight to it for me. So I don't mind the sequence of endings that happens because it really brings it all home in my mind. So
yeah, no, I fully agree. It's epic is what it is.
Epic, exactly.
Yeah,
it really is.
Wait, it's my turn, right? The last one on my list.
Final
movie.
Top movie.
Okay.
But for you, just
the last
next
movie
one in the category.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's no climax on my end. Okay, so my last movie on the list, it's a movie called The Grandmaster.
Okay.
It's a Hong Kong movie that is about the story of Ip Man. Do you know Ip Man?
No.
uh, so like okay, so there is this like a fighting style in like the Chinese martial arts. And
Mm-hmm.
this Ip Man person is like one of the grandmasters of this fighting style. And he taught a lot of students, and one of them was actually Bruce Lee.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know who that is.
Yeah. So they made a movie about it's like a martial arts, purely fighting, martial arts movie about him with like Donnie Yen as portraying Ip Man. And there were three of them. But
Mm-hmm.
then this Hong Kong director that is also really like internationally famous also made a movie about the same person. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously, there's a lot of fighting, great fighting in the Grandmaster, but the focus, like the style, is very different. It's about it's really a story that tells uh, that uses Ip Man as like the narrator and
Mm-hmm.
follows him, that shows you like the like the milieu, like the atmosphere, the what's going on in like the martial arts world and in China, you know, as a whole, like right about around the time of World War II.
Okay.
Yeah, so like before the Japan like invaded China around that time, and so it's of martial arts. It's about this grandmaster of martial arts, but it's also about just the world of like the Chinese fighting, Chinese kung fu, and about philosophy. Um, it's beautifully done, and it's just a beautiful film. But it might be hard for people who don't understand Chinese to watch it because
Mm.
a lot of the beauty of this movie is in the dialogues, and
Oh,
I'm sad. It's sad that a lot of that would just get lost in translation when you make the English subtitles. So yeah, so
yeah.
a lot of the beauty would just get lost. But nevertheless, I mean, just the movie, just to watch like the visuals, like the costumes and all that is enough.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's a great movie. Uh,
Okay.
and I put it there. I actually like it
Cool.
even better than the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Really?
Yeah, it's a wonderful movie, and also like this director makes a lot of. He's also made a lot of good movies too. But this is the first one that he of his movies that has anything to do with martial arts at all. Like it's not his thing. It's like Ang Lee, right? Like they all made the very different movies in the past, and then all of a sudden they made this martial arts movie, and it was awesome. Yeah,
That's
that's the last one,
awesome.
the Grandmaster.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Do you understand the dialects or like the?
No, I don't. But
Okay.
luckily for me, I can just read the Chinese subtitles. I can still
Oh.
get the meaning. It's just that the language I don't understand, like the
Mm.
spoken language. But because the written, in when you write it down, it's the same thing. Yeah,
Okay.
they spoke Cantonese in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Oh, most of
Okay.
them, anyway. Yeah,
Okay. Cool.
yeah, that's my last one.
Great. That sounds like a good one to eventually watch someday too.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, what's your top choice?
my top choice, my number one favorite movie of all time, that is always my go-to number one, is The Lion King.
Oh, okay.
I probably might have mentioned that we might have had this conversation before in Durham, but yeah, The Lion King was apparently, according to my parents, the first movie that they ever took me to in theaters when I was too young to remember. So I don't even remember it like in theaters, but I have always like really liked it as a movie, like, because you watch Disney movies many times growing up, and Lion King was always kind of my favorite one. And I love a lot of the Disney movies that have animals that are centered around animals. Like Fox and the Hound is probably my number 2, Robin Hood, Balto, all those. But Lion King was different, and just it's another one that I don't know if, I mean, I could go on and on about it, but I can't like really boil it down easily as to like why specifically I feel like it's my favorite movie. But it's just a good story. It's based off of Hamlet, so Shakespeare, classic. But I think what attracted it to me a lot when I was little was honestly the imagery and the visuals, and the fact that they, you know, are personifying animals, but they also, in certain really smart ways, were staying true to the animal's form, like the actual species form. And that's something I definitely didn't comprehend as a child fully, but that I know that I appreciated, because I never was one, even as a child, to like animal movies or shows where the animals were too cartoonish. When they got like super cartoonish or unrealistic, I wasn't as interested anymore, because to me, like, something was like broken there. I was too much of an animal lover of like real animals in the real world, that like I like seeing animated animals be like as like kind of true to form also. So that's what's cool about it. But obviously they are personified, and they do certainly do things that aren't realistic and would never happen in the real world. So I'm fully aware of that. But there's just a nice balance there with the imagery and the visuals of the movie that I always really liked. But I think it's another one that speaks for itself, and everybody, a lot of Americans at least, know it. So, you can understand the appeal. And to me, it is my favorite movie. And it was just my favorite Disney movie. And that's most of what I watched as a young child. But it's one of the ones that really holds up as an adult as well. I don't watch it very much anymore, but I still think about it sometimes, and I would watch it again. I just, it's not like I'm not gonna like sit down one Friday night and be like, what should I watch? Oh, I guess Lion King. Like, I don't do that so much anymore, but it's like, it's such a classic to me. It's just the classic movie to me. And I also got to see the Broadway musical in Durham when I was in Durham, and it wasn't on Broadway, so not quite the same, but still they were on tour. So they came to North Carolina and saw it.
I saw that too. We didn't go together, yeah? I don't think.
No, we definitely didn't. But I saw it, and it was very good. Very good. Yeah. So I don't know, but the movie is just the original Disney animated movie. And actually, sadly, I have not seen the newer one that they just did. Even though I was very interested in it, I just never saw it.
Yeah, I heard bad things about the movie though.
Oh, really?
The new one. Because they just make it too realistic. So they just make animals appear as they actually in real life. And then it's just weird when like a real lion start to talk, like the mouths make human speech motions.
Yeah.
And also just like a bit by bit remake of the animated version. So it's just I was interested. I was actually thinking about seeing it, but then I changed my mind.
Was that Jon Favreau?
Yeah, it was. It was actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he did a
Yeah.
really good job with Jungle Book, like
Yeah, I
like
never saw that one
the
either.
yeah the realistic version of Jungle Book.
Hmm.
I think I like that movie a lot. But
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Huh.
I guess not. I
Well,
think he touches his gold. I mean, he's pretty awesome, but you just gotta have one of those. You know,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, they were trying I watch I watched the Disney Gallery for The Mandalorian. Did you ever have you watched any of those?
No, no. I just saw I just watched the first season on Disney Plus, and that was it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. 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 Okay. Um they came out with these like kind of behind the scenes but like produced um it's like a behind the scenes series kind of for The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And they did for season 1 they did like episodes, like they had 5 or 6 episodes I guess of this Disney Gallery The Mandalorian. And then they for season 2 they only had one longer behind the scenes Disney Gallery
Mhm.
episode. But for season 1 they had like multiple ones. They divided it into like directors, um engineers, like they had different themes for each episode. It was really really good, really interesting. But there were a couple of them they were showing little clips from when Jon Favreau was filming Jungle Book. They didn't show any from Lion King, but they did show some from Jungle Book, because they were testing. Like, what was super fascinating about the Disney Gallery is that they're talking about the new technologies that they developed to film The Mandalorian. And
Mhm.
Jon Favreau was also talking about like things that they were first developing on The Lion King and on Jungle Book that now they've used in The Mandalorian, or they've developed even further in The Mandalorian, or taken to a whole new level. So it's like they kept kind of flashing back to like these scenes that they did with the Jungle Book, to show how that technology kind of like developed and how it was used in The Mandalorian even more. Yeah, I don't know. I can't do a better job explaining it, but it's really, really interesting. So I think part of like The Lion King and Jungle Book for Jon Favreau was slightly experimental, I think. Like he was, I mean, it wasn't totally, but like he was trying to develop new methods of filming those special effects and things. And yeah, so you can imagine how sometimes those backfire the first time you try them, but
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
times they really work really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I saw something on YouTube too where it was like they did they use they somebody had taken the realistic animation from the Lion King, like the more recent Lion King,
Mhm.
but then like deep faked it with the animation from the original. And so then it becomes this like kind of more realistic CGI animation, but that looks more similar in spirit to the original. And it was really good. It was almost like, man, this guy should have done the
Oh,
animation for
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Like they
Yeah.
should have done it this way, right?
Yeah, because it really looked like Scar and it really looked like Mufasa, because they had merged the the super high quality technology with the original like drawings that
Hmm.
had been done. And so it was like they looked more like true Lion King, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I gotta look it up. I haven't seen that one.
yeah, But yeah, I also think Scar is probably one of the most evil villains ever. So
Yeah, yes, I agree. I mean, like the whole thing is based on Hamlet, so you know the
yeah.
characters, they're just, you expect them to be pretty good, and they are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they are. And Timon and Pumbaa can't beat them. Simba, classic.
yeah.
Nala is a beast. And it's just an all around good movie. And the whole
Yeah.
remember who you are thing, oh, just gets me every time. So, yeah, great movie.
Mhm.
Just perfectly executed original animation. So, yeah,
Yeah,
in my opinion,
I concur. I concur.
great movie.
Yeah, awesome.
Ooh.
Okay, so
All right.
that those were 8 movies from each of us that we really like. Yeah.
And I'm just gonna throw out there that for those movies that we just went through,
Mhm.
there are so many honorable mentions for me. So,
I know.
you
I
know,
know. Yeah.
I really had a hard time excluding certain ones. So maybe we'll have to have another future episode where we do our honorable mentions.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be down for that. Because there's so many more that I could have put on the list if I just didn't. Because
Yeah.
yeah.
I literally wrote down a bunch of my honorable mentions. So I'm
Really?
ready whenever you are.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we should like definitely do this another time to like have like a few more that we also like, but it didn't. Yeah, we get to talk about this time. We should do it.
Yeah, if we ever have a week where we don't have time to like watch something that we haven't
Mm,
watched before,
yeah.
we'll just say, okay, we're gonna do another like
Part
this.
two.
Yeah,
All right. Okay. That sounds
yeah,
great.